Ready? All right, call to order the July 25th, 2019 Moab City Planning Commission meeting at 6:01 p.m. First order of business tonight is citizens to be heard. Is there anyone who is citizens to be heard? And this is for items not on the agenda tonight.
Or on the agenda because we don't have public hearings.
Or we don't have public hearings, so if it is on the agenda, you're welcome to come up to the table. Do we?
We do like to speak.
Yes, yes. We'll have Summer get a mic. Do we want to do sheets or no? Green sheets or? We'll just ask that you state your name and speak clearly into the microphone so anyone watching at home can hear you.
JJ Wang and my daughter Tiffany.
JJ and Tiffany Wong? Yes. Great.
We're talking we're concerned, expressing concern regarding I believe it's called My Place development that is on the agenda. My dad owns the property adjacent to this particular development, so we just want to raise our concerns and make sure they are addressed or make sure they're being considered when the committee is looking into this plan.
I explained you interpret into English, okay? Because
there's a boundary. Actually, there's a property line, and then because of the topography of the development, it's going to require a lot of disturbing of the land, of the dirt and the land, the rocks and everything. It's going to require cutting as well.
They make it
and flat, and then,
they move
the gradual, and then.
When they cut it, number one, not in weight to our property.
Yeah, we're afraid because we're undeveloped, they will feel more liberated to do whatever they feel like because there's nothing to constrict whatever they're trying to do. So that would impact our land. Okay, so that's one of the.
That's number one.
That's
number two. There's a flat land
on top, right?
Top.
So we have a piece of land on top.
If they cut to our land,
there may be some falling rocks. Or falling, loose rocks and stuff that would actually decrease the land mass on top.
Yeah.
So that's one main concern. So regarding while they're developing the land to make it buildable, that those things is going to affect the land adjacent to the development.
Yeah, that's number one. Number two.
Number two is that. Because we also looked into this, and we were just wondering how the sewer is being done on this. It's probably on the maps and on the plans, but we're just wondering how the sewer is being led to this particular development. The sewer, water, and then we know storm drain. The storm drainage is very important along North Corridor.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that's being addressed. And we have experience in the past because we have found that when we are the undeveloped land, there tend to be, whenever there's a development or whatever is happening, people always we become the unintended, the next person who get the, what's the word I'm looking for? The bearer of the whatever consequences. So in this case, maybe the drainage, maybe the water, maybe the landslide, whatever it is, because we're undeveloped, and then because all these things are happening on this particular land, there's maybe some unintended consequences will be happening to our land, or they may be even doing drainage onto our land that we don't know, because I read somewhere some of the decisions are done by the contractors who's doing the land. And then they're going to, what's the word I'm looking for, the least resistance, and they're going to take it you know, so that's our concern as well, because we're not there every day to
Yeah.
make sure things are done properly. The contractor's gonna do what they can, just get the job done. So that's our,
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
yes.
The first thing you talked about, Tiffany, was it the front entry coming from the highway up? Was that your concern about how that's going to be approached?
Yes, how is that approached? Because the turn is.
Do you feel like it's too steep?
Yes,
or-
the turn is very, and then once it goes up, it's actually, I think there's parking in the back as well. That's also a very tight turn, so they have to cut really into
They
the,
really cut into it
yeah,
to make it flat.
yeah,
Okay.
When they cut it,
you
they
know,
don't
yeah.
even wade into our land.
and then disturbing see, it's like anything else, you know, like our body, if you touch something, there's gonna be unintended consequences, and, you know, it's gonna happen to your adjacent or land around
Right.
it, and that's what we're afraid.
I would like to make one comment on that, and that is that I think our city engineer is going to address that their percentage of the cut of the hill won't impact you because they can't go too steep. In other words, it has to be a certain gradual cut that won't impact yours, is my understanding.
Okay, good.
So I think you're safe there. I don't know anything about the entry, but as far as drainage goes, it would be my guess that they can't drain onto your property.
All right.
It would be my, right?
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's, so, I'm just wondering, what other major, the sewer line, of course, is the city,
Yeah.
and then that'll be, I'm sure that'll be addressed, but trying to understand what the main concern is.
Because we saw what happened we had a really big rainstorm. I think it was last year. Was it last year or a year before? And all that mud just came down to the main street
Yeah.
towards the north. And then we
Came all over the bike path and yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So that's something that was in our brain, or in my brain, when things like this is happening.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that that's being thought of and
Yeah.
being addressed now.
It would be my guess that it will actually improve, not get worse.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be, what do you think, Summer, I mean, they're going to have to maintain the water that comes on that property.
Yes, they will. They'll have to
So-
put it in, they'll have to provide for drainage and storm draining and all that. It will have to go to an approved storm drain location. But we can talk about these when we get to the
When we have
item.
the site plan, yeah.
I appreciate it.
Okay, sure, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Do we have any other citizens to be heard on anything this evening? For any of the things on the agenda, when we get to those agenda items, if the project proponents are here, that's fine if you want to come up to the table and make comments, so we can do that then. But anyone else have citizens to be heard? Okay, great. Agenda item number 3, excuse me, some quick planning commission comments and updates. I think Corey, or Nora? Nora, then Corey?
Corey can go first, but I do have an update as well. I put this on the agenda just at Corey's request, and I think it's not a bad idea if you all have something to share from, your last couple weeks and seeing what's going on, or, have questions or whatever. This would be a time to bring them up. I think Corey just wanted to spend a little time introducing himself a little bit, since he's brand new to the board.
Perfect.
Corey, take it away.
Yes, so just in order to keep things brief, but since we've gotten started into a lot of the media projects, haven't really had a time to
What are you talking
introduce
about?
myself
Nothing's been going on.
to our commission. I had a really short opportunity to introduce myself to the council, but since our appointment, we've been touching on some pressing matters, and so just giving a little bit of my background and where I'm coming from and a lot of the issues that we're seeing, I think it'd be helpful in our communications to kind of have that from me. So growing up in Park City, I attended the University of Utah, and I graduated with degrees in city planning and political science and leadership studies, and then have been, years later, working and living seasonally in Moab for the last 5 years and permanently living here over the last year. My fiance, she grew up here and is a nurse at Moab Regional Hospital. We're currently living in a rental property and have a piece of land out in Castle Valley. So our intent is to stay and turn this place into our home as we build our family. So my intention with this commission is to participate in a way to protect the future of Moab and the interests that we're seeing in the general plan and of the community. So that as we're building our lives and our family here, it's gonna have the longevity that a lot of communities I've seen haven't had. They've had a lot of shifting, have felt like the shifting in those communities due to growth or maybe planning related decisions has changed the essence of a lot of those places and made it so that the people whose homes were there were pushed out. And I've felt that personally, and my family's felt that in other areas. So my fiance, this being her born home, and then me turning this in my home myself, don't want to see that happen. So regards to the decisions we're making, that's often the perspective I'm coming from. I do believe that growth can be a very healthy thing for the communities if it's done in an intentional and strategic way. I believe the purpose of this commission is to act as representatives of the community to promote the spirit of the general plan and recommend informed decisions to that city council. Pretty basic. I'm aware that you guys have understood that, but wanted to get my 2 cents on that. So as it has been and as it continues to be a privilege serving on this council and this commission for the community, I really appreciate your guys' participation and contributions as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. And when you move to Castle Valley, you can't be on the plan.
That's right.
No, you gotta
That's
go
right.
knocking
Go to
at
the
the
county
county.
planning. Oh, I had one update.
Yes, what's your
So the city council at their meeting on Tuesday, oh gosh, was it only Tuesday?
I
Approved,
know.
approved the overnight accommodation ordinance, generally in the same form that you folks looked at it, although they did take out the target date. There's still a lot of language in there about without undue delay, and the agreement is that we all want to move forward and have something in place before the state legislature meets in January. So that's our goal. That continues to be our goal.
Yeah, won't change anything on our end.
And then Kaylin also added some language where it talked about the kinds of things we want to look at as we move forward. He added some language about that. And did I send you all a copy of the?
You did,
Yeah.
today, yes.
So it's at the very end, right before the severability clause. And just kind of broadened that to look at things like non-motorized transportation, cumulative impacts, and some other specific items. So they approved it with those modifications.
Density and aesthetic criteria, landscaping, energy efficiency, buffering, mixing of office, retail, and residential uses, water carrying capacity, existing infrastructure, contribution to cumulative traffic, connectivity, contribution to non-motorized and micro vehicle transportation network, height, and view shed with future overnight accommodations development.
Yep.
Those things. Great. I just want to say thank you, Nora, for all your work on that. That could not have happened without you.
Well, I mean, it would have been nice to have been able to have some regs in place, but that just,
It's timing wise, but
yeah, it just wasn't going to
we
happen.
will continue with undue delay, without undue delay, not with undue delay. All right. If anybody else has anything to say? All right, so, excuse me. Agenda item number 4, approval of the minutes. We have minutes from April 11th, 2019. Does anyone have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll approve the minutes from April 11th, 2018. Do you want me to make it into 2? Like both of them?
You can. I will say one note on the April 11th. Becky's name is missing a Y at the end, but otherwise, unless you go by Beck now. All right.
So I approve the motion. I motion to approve the April 11th, 2019 minutes as written, except for Becky's misspelled name.
Second?
I second it.
Brian seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the minutes from April 23rd, 2019, similar motion.
Yes, I would like to also approve the minutes from April 23rd, 2019 as written.
Second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Sumner, if you want to mark my abstention from that, given my lack of presence for those. I did not vote.
You did not vote on either one?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Next agenda item, our first action item, 5.1, the My Place site plan, which can include Planning Resolution 13, 2019, a resolution conditionally approving the Level 2 site plan application for Moab My Place Hotel located in the RC Resort Commercial Zone at 1520 North Main Street. Nora?
Okay. We received an application for Moab My Place. It's a new lodging property. It will be a hotel. It's on 7.02 acres. It's zoned resort commercial, or RC. It's just under 30,000 square feet, 64 rooms. There's 76 parking spaces, 5 of which are oversized, 64 are what's required. It's 3 floors with a maximum height of 36 feet. They're allowed up to 40. And then reaching 43 feet as permitted. There's an exception for parapets. And it will include a swimming pool and in-unit kitchenettes. Here's a little picture of where the parcel is. And if you will recall, this application received hillside development permit previously. The Planning Commission made a recommendation to the City Council, and the City Council approved that hillside development permit. There are a number of conditions of approval that I have recommended. And certainly the issues that were raised by Mr. Wong and Tiffany are very important on hillside areas, and we will have, the city engineer has to review all of the building plans, and we do as well. And at that time, we will make sure that the storm drainage doesn't impact their property, that storm drainage is contained on the property and then released into an approved storm drain outfall. And they will have to meet their slope requirements, and they'll have to either use retaining walls or we'll have to cut back the slope so that it's at the angle of repose, basically, so that it's not an issue with rocks falling down. I certainly can understand the adjacent property owner's concern, and it's something that we will address at the building permit stage prior to issuance of a building permit. If there are any other, and condition number 1 indicates that all outstanding engineering comments shall be addressed to the satisfaction. And there are also some public works comments, and that gives us some assurance as to water and sewer and those kinds of things. The engineer and public works have reviewed these plans preliminarily, and they're generally okay with them. But once we get down to the nitty-gritty of the actual building plans is when we really get into that level of detail.
Is there an opportunity for the adjacent property owners to engage with those departments going forward, or to
Sure.
have their comments that they sent to us forwarded along to the Engineering and Public Works Department?
I can absolutely
Okay.
do that, and I think it's one that we're going to need to keep an eye on as it moves forward because of the hillside nature of it.
Great.
So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. They do have, as you saw in your packet, they do include a preliminary landscape plan, sign plan, lighting plan, all of which will need to be finally approved at the building permit stage prior to issuance. I also did an analysis, which is attached, of the RC zone requirements and how it meets the zone requirements, and it does meet them.
I like that. by
Yeah,
the way.
thank you for that.
I
like
really
that.
like the way you have that set up.
Good.
I do
would
too.
like to continue to
Yes.
use that or something like it.
Right, any question? Could you go back to, or do we have an aerial of just the site plan with the building and parking on it in your presentation? I know we have it in our packet, but just so folks can see.
Yeah, I don't think I have it here.
Okay, that's all right.
No.
Nope. That's the next item. So if we go back, Mr. Wong, Ms. Wong, where is your property in relation?
North?
It's north.
North of it?
Yeah.
Okay. But frontage on the highway there, okay.
Well, where the triangle is at,
Mm-hmm.
they're saying, that's what my dad is concerned about.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on top of it is what.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there's a road that goes up that.
Yes, there's
Yes.
up there, yes. So it's pretty, really flat up there right now.
Just right across from the archway? Okay. All right. We don't have any questions for Nora. If someone wants to make a motion, can entertain that now.
And this is actually a motion to approve. This does not have to go to city council because it's a class 2 site plan under 30,000 square feet. And there is a resolution that's attached. It's actually what you'll be approving.
Yes.
And the resolution number is 13-2019.
I move to adopt Plan Resolution 13-2019, conditionally approving the Level 2 site plan for Moab My Place Hotel, subject to the following conditions. Needing to list conditions?
Oh,
Or,
there we go.
oh, okay. 1, all outstanding engineering comments shall be addressed to the satisfaction of the city engineering prior to the issuance of a grading permit and building permit and/or building permit. 2, all outstanding public works comments shall be addressed to the satisfaction of the Public Works Director prior to the issuance of a grading permit and/or building permit. 3, all exterior lighting shall comply with the requirements of Moab Municipal Code Section 17-31050. 4, all signage must comply with the requirements of Moab Municipal Code Section 17-31040F and will be reviewed and approved under a separate sign permit. 5, all landscaping shall comply with the requirements of the Moab Municipal Code, including but not limited to parking lot required landscaping. 6, development is subject to the Assured Workplace Housing Ordinance and must execute a land use restriction agreement with City Council prior to the issuance of a building permit.
They will have to pay, if they don't want to build on site, which they are not planning at this point, they will have to pay into the fee in lieu of. And that's a process that happens before a building permit is issued.
How much is the fee in lieu?
I haven't figured that yet. It's based on square footage and the type of use.
It's $15.57 per square foot.
$15.57 per square foot. So $15.57 times about 30,000. It's a cement. It's not cheap. But it's in lieu of building units. So the intent is that that fee will go into a fund that can actually build units. So it's supposed to pay for those units.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor of Planning Resolution 13-2019, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. All right. Action item number 5.2, the Moab Tramway. Moab Tramway subdivision, we should say, which is very different than the Moab Tramway itself.
Exactly. I don't know if anybody wants to come up representing the applicant on this. But this is the Moab Tramway subdivision, which a number of months ago, they submitted an application for a site plan and a subdivision. And they're two separate applications, but all of their plans were pretty much together. And all of those were included in your packet information. It was probably way more information than you need. But they are still working on the site plan. So they want to move forward with the subdivision only at this time. It basically splits the lot, as you can see on the monitor, splits the lot into two parcels. The parcel right up here, this is where the base of the property is currently, and this is the top. So this is one parcel, and then this is the other. And this area here that is darkened, it's shaded, that's all a mutual access and parking. It's for it can be used for either one. So it's a cross easement so that both properties can use that parking. And that will come into play when we start to talk about the site plan specifically and how much parking they would be required to provide, and then how much parking the adjacent development, whatever that looks like, wants to provide or is required to provide. So this is really just a simple ownership change. At the time of site plan review, they will have to comply with all of the site plan review standards for this zone. There's some utilities and some things that need to be done, obviously. And that will all have to be reviewed as part of the site plan review. This is simply a 2-lot minor subdivision.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Nora? Or is the project proponent here if they'd like to say something? Yeah, sure, come on up. If you just introduce yourself when you sit down, that'd be great.
I'm Michael Dirson.
What was your last name?
Dirson.
Dirson.
Is the last name.
Great, thanks. Anyone have any questions for the project proponents?
So which part of the project are you going to be working on? Both of them, or?
No, just the gondola part.
Oh, just the gondola
So
part?
it's the north section
this
that you see
part.
on the map, correct?
Okay.
And we do have a shared agreement for the parking.
Okay, you've got a lot of work to do.
No, we do have a lot of work to do, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, but yeah.
Yeah, the site
There's
plan.
been a lot of vandalism too, so it's gonna take.
Yeah,
It's pretty,
the site
but I'm
plan.
glad you're doing something. It'll be awesome.
The site plan will require things like frontage landscaping and several things that will make it look better in the long term.
Yes.
We're hoping to make it look very nice.
I'm sure you will. Thank you.
And we will talk to you when that time comes too.
Yes.
With lots more questions, I'm sure. But anything in particular about the subdivision from anyone? So you are retaining lot 2, but lot 1 will be sold, or you have someone that.
I'm retaining the north part, is
Okay.
lot 2.
Lots 2,
And
yeah.
then Mr. Wong
Okay,
is
great.
retaining lot 1.
Okay. Perfect.
In lot 1, is that an access route reaching to that lot 2 on the lower section of the parcel?
The only access, there is a small road that goes about halfway up. It's
Okay.
not on that
I see.
diagram there. And then from there, it's a trail that goes to the very top.
I see.
Utility easement. Facility
Oh.
access easement.
Yeah, it's good.
I think that's it from us. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you very much.
All right, we don't have any other questions for Nora or discussion. Well, we can have discussion if someone makes a motion, but we can entertain that now. That would be here, if anyone wants to read it.
I'll read it. Thank you. I move that we approve a recommendation to City Council positively for the Moab Tramway a two-lot minor subdivision of property located at 1750 North Highway 191.
I'll second that motion.
Was that subject to conditions, or there are a couple?
There are, I didn't see, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Mind
I'd like to
redoing
amend that, please. I would like to recommend to City Council positively for the Moab Tramway, two-lot minor subdivision of property located at 1750 North Highway 191 with conditions. All engineering comments shall be addressed to the satisfaction of the city engineer prior to the review by the City Council. And number 2, site plan review and approval is required prior to site development for either newly created lot.
Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
Second.
Marianne, seconded?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0.
Okay,
Good luck.
Thank you.
yeah, look forward to working with you.
Yeah. All right, our next action item, 5.3, is the review and possible recommendation to City Council for approval of the Hoodoo Village 3-lot minor subdivision on property located at 201 Walnut Lane.
Okay, so the large parcel, wherever my cursor is where the Hoodoo sits now. And then Lot 1 is where the existing apartments are. And Lot 2 is where the proposed apartments are. We actually have received an application for those eastern apartments. They are employee housing, so they will be, have to be affordable. I mean, that's how they are satisfying their WAHU requirement. They're actually building the units, which is awesome. And the reason that they're doing this is for financing purposes. They want to finance, this one's done, this is basically done, and so now they have to finance this one, and it needs to be a separate lot in order for them to get their financing, from what I understand. It's much like the other one, it's just establishing the big lots. And when we get to the site plan review, we'll be looking at all of the utilities, shared parking, storm drainage, access, all those kinds of things when we get to the site plan. And as I mentioned, we have received an application.
Great. We don't have this on an aerial, do we? I was trying to look, but Google Maps is fairly outdated with regard to the satellite imagery in that spot right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's right behind the Hoodoo, obviously, if you, and I did do a tour of the Hoodoo today.
Did you?
Yeah,
How was it?
it's impressive.
Really?
Yeah, and they're proposing to open the restaurant very soon, probably next week.
They have to.
Yes, and then the balance of the hotel, hopefully not too much after that.
Okay, Nora, is Lot 1 with the employee housing, are they built?
Yes,
So is it going to be similar to that?
yes.
Okay, how many units are in each one?
I think there's,
We,
there you go.
18 and 24?
Yep,
Oh, wow, that's great.
yeah, it is great.
She's got it.
Zoom out a little bit, it shows the parcel. Oh, is it on there?
Sure.
yeah, if you want to come up to the microphone just real quick, that'd be great.
The bigger lot that you pointed out,
Yes.
that the Hoodoo Hotel is on, that is not where the Hoodoo Hotel
Oh.
is.
Yeah.
That's actually where, the hotel is where you just put your arrow.
Right over here? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
just to clear that
So
up.
what is this one?
That's where the casitas are going
Casitas.
to go.
Okay, so
Oh,
the
that's what?
casitas will go.
So in the approval for the Hoodoo Hotel, we had an approval for, we had several phases that we were working on. And so
Okay.
the second, the employee housing was one phase, and then a future casitas behind the Hoodoo Hotel was another phase. So we're about to submit that application too.
And that will be 4 nightly rental units, just a different configuration. So it's basically
Standalone
an
units.
extension of the hotel with a different
Future.
product.
Right.
Yes.
And also, just to be clear, the hotel was approved back in 2013. This project actually is not subject to the assured housing policy.
Oh, so
Somebody
you're just
mentioned.
doing
It is
it
not, you're
anyway.
right.
The
Awesome.
developer just did it
Sure.
because they wanted to do it, and that's the same with the second apartment building.
It's
I
awesome.
will
Sure.
just plug that they were actually the ones that created the code change in order for them to have ground floor employee housing, so they kind of pioneered the
Excellent.
idea and
Cool.
the
Wow.
process.
Yeah, really, good
Yep,
job.
good job.
Awesome.
It wasn't me, but thank you.
I'm gonna make sure the other developers know.
Yeah.
I
Thank
didn't mean to interrupt Nora.
No,
This
that,
one-
thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. All right. Yes, so 1 and 2 not. I'm blind today. 3. All right. Don't have any other questions for Nora? Can go for a motion?
Yeah, I recommend we approve it.
Here, read that.
Okay. I move forward a positive recommendation to the city council for the approval of the Hoodoo Village minor subdivision subject to the following conditions. Number 1, all engineering comments shall be addressed to the satisfaction of the city engineer prior to the review by city council. Number 2, site plan review and approval is required prior to site development for either newly created lots.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Becky seconds. All in favor?
Who
Aye.
seconded it? I'm sorry.
Becky seconded.
Beck.
Beck?
Yes,
Beck. And motion carried 6-0 as well.
thank you.
My phone.
All right, oh, yeah. Okay, that's the end of our action items. Item number 6, future agenda items. What's coming?
Well, as I mentioned, we have the apartments on the east parcel for Hoodoo. So that will be moving forward through site plan approval. It is in the development review team process right now. We received a resubmittal for the Henry Shaw Hotel, which is a big one, 222 rooms. And there was a previous submittal and a round of comments, and we just received the resubmittal. It's site plan approval, and the development review team is also reviewing that. So those are the 2 biggies, and then apparently we're going to get the casitas, the Hoodoo casitas in as well, and that will be another site plan review and approval. So there's some big ones in the pipeline.
Remind me, which was the Henry Shaw? Was that the one on North, or that's the one down
It's
where
south, it's like 900
Gearheads,
South Main, or
It's
8
behind-
something South Main.
Oh, okay, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like on a triangle.
836 South Main, right? I
Yes.
think.
Behind La Dolce Vita Villas
And El Charo Loco.
and El Charo Loco.
All right. And then OA stuff, I assume, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Just more
In
than.
fact, we will start that in earnest next week, and as soon as the mayor gets back, we will figure out a joint meeting,
All right.
whether it's at your meeting or at their meeting. But we need to jump on that immediately, and I think that is important. I'm
Yes.
also meeting with Zachariah tomorrow to coordinate how we are moving forward, hopefully with similar types of standards. Obviously, they don't have to be exactly the same, but at least we're hoping the approach is similar.
Great. All right. Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Any motion to adjourn?
Which you actually don't have to do.
All right. Then we are adjourned at 6:40 PM.